Well, I think, well, some people could have inherently some sort of morals because, for example, if you say people who are born and raised in a say a difficult community, they grow up to be a wise man. But some people they might be from a good community, they turn out to be terrible people. So I think of course, upbringing, your family values, the society or your community where you are brought up helps. But there could be some personal instinct on people how they judge the situation, and it's a lot of lifetime experience, I think.
Okay.
So, if you watch a lot of decent television programs, you learn about how people describe situations, how they express their opinions, and you tend to learn out of that, right? And yeah, I think religion also gives a lot of things about how you think. So
Well, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
religion.
Religion.
Religion. So I think I'm from Nepal.
Okay.
So the Buddha was born in Nepal,
Okay.
and in my judgment, people who follow Buddhism are likely to be very friendly, kind, those kind of things. Not to say that people from other religions are aggressive, something like that. But it's just a matter of, I think, Buddhism itself is a very peaceful religion.
What is the basis of Buddhism? I don't know a lot about it. What do they believe?
So Buddhism is the philosophy of life that was preached by Buddha, who was born in Nepal, and his thing was you don't want to be involved in sin. You want to be peaceful, and that's how you achieve your happiness in your life. You be good to everybody, and it's more like a non-violence, those kind of things.
How does a Buddhist get to heaven?
So basically, so Buddhism. So if you have brought up so there is some sort of learning within the Buddhist community. They go something called the Gumba. So it's like in Muslims, I think they go to madrasas to learn about their religious values and what their religion preaches. So in Buddhism also there is a way they go to these, I think they call it monasteries, I don't know. That may not be the right term, but they go there and they learn about what Buddhism preaches, and what Buddhism preaches is all peace and forgiveness, those kind of things.
Do you practice Buddhism yourself?
No, I'm a Hindu.
You're a Hindu, okay.
I practice Hinduism.
Okay. So Buddhism is most prominent in Nepal. So is that what you were saying, or that's where it was originated?
No, Buddhism was originated in Nepal. Well, there is a controversy about Buddhism was originated in Nepal or in India. But I think when Buddhism started, there was no demarcation like where is India and Nepal, but where Buddhism originated now lies in Nepal.
Okay.
So, but I think in Nepal maybe is 0.2% of the population.
So are they more Hindu?
Yeah,
then?
Nepal is predominantly Hindu, like 99 or more percent of the people are Hindu there.
Okay. So how does a Hindu get to heaven?
How Hindu comes into the society?
No, when you die, if you're a good Hindu, how do you make it to heaven?
Okay. So in Hinduism we have a saying that in the first 14, I think it's I think 13 days, your soul when you die it vibrates around this hemisphere, around the earth. But I think it's on the 14th day or something your soul goes to heaven. So when my father died, I had bald head and I did these rituals for 13 days. The idea about doing 13 days of ritual was that I was charging my father's soul so that it could go to heaven.
So your father's could go.
My father's soul could go to heaven. In the first 13 days, it was just migrating around. There are a lot of epical stories about in the past. The soul of a dead man was residing in a bamboo pole, something like that. So that's written in our Hindu epic. So in the rituals that we were doing, the priest had brought a small bamboo slot and placed around where I was doing it. It's just a notion that my father's soul could be somewhere there. Okay. So I had to do it 13 days, and in 13 days we don't touch it with each other. So you want to stay very pure. We bath every day. We save our.
But you have to do that for your father. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So when you die, someone will need to do that for you to go to heaven, correctly?
Yeah, according to Hinduism.
So what do you do if there's no one available to do that for you? What happens?
I think there is a provision that even if you are not the immediate son, you can do it. I think there is a provision. There are people who don't have sons. I think even daughters can do it. I'm not very sure of that because I'm not very well versed in the Hindu philosophy about how things are done. But normally it is the takes the biggest responsibility to do those things.
Right, because if you didn't have a son, you would have a problem, wouldn't you?
I think I would not think that someone who doesn't have a son would not go to heaven. I think there are caveats in the way the religion is interpreted, something like that.
So what does somebody, if you don't go to heaven, what's the alternative?
Okay, so in the past, according to the Hindu epic, if you are a terribly bad man, it will be difficult for your soul to go to heaven. You'll have to stay here. Heaven is a good place. This is less good place. It's not a great place after you die. So in the past, there was a.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had a question. So there's not necessarily like a hell. You just stay here on earth.
Well, in Hinduism, there is clearly a mention of hell.
Okay.
So basically, when you are dying, now see, these are big stories, the epic stories. But I think in one of the stories it says, when you die, and when you go, when a soul goes away, there is a man who has a log about what good things and what bad things you did in your.
So if you have to be a good person to get to heaven, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody to do some stuff for you after you die as well.
I don't think so. I think your destination to heaven is solely based on how good you do. Okay. So even if you don't have a son who did those rituals, I mean, somebody will do it for you. Maybe even if you don't have a son, I think a priest can do it for you. But I don't think that's the sole determinant of whether you go to heaven or not. But in Hinduism, and what I believe is there is heaven and there is hell.
Okay. Well, what about you? Do you consider yourself to be a good person?
Oh, definitely, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I want to do is I want to run you through just a quick little test. It's called what we call the good person test, and just ask you a few questions. Okay. It's not us judging you. It's just for your own evaluation, okay? Have you ever told a lie?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you usually call a person that's told a lie?
Told a lie?
Yeah, well, if I told you a lie, what would you call me?
It's a liar.
Okay.
But I think now, this is how I have seen. I think there are two ways people are lying. I think there are times when you just lie it, but you make the situation go smoothly.
Right, but if you tell a lie, you're a liar.
Uh-huh.
If I murder one person, I'm a murderer.
Oh, definitely.
If I rape one person, I'm a rapist.
Exactly.
So if I tell one lie,
Yeah.
I'm a liar, right?
I think I have lied, but in the last few years, I think I have not lied. It's a part of my upbringing. I think now I have more control on myself, and I have more control about my judgment skills, and I don't know that lying is not good.
Okay, I understand. What about, have you ever, regardless of the value, regardless of how old you were when it happened, have you ever stolen anything?
Stolen? Yeah, I think when I was young, because I lived in a hostel, and I might have stolen someone's apple or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the typical name that we give to a person if they steal? What would we call them?
I think someone who steals is a robber,
Or thief.
thief. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about this? Now, I know that you're Hindu, but in the Christian Bible, it says that if you look at a person with lust, then you've committed adultery in your heart. Have you ever done that?
Or if you see somebody with a lust. Well, I think it is inherent, right? It's not.
Well, it's more of a because what, right? Because
things like it's active and passive. If you see somebody who is beautiful, gorgeous, you think, oh, it's a beautiful.
yeah, not so much, right? Not necessarily a just that you think somebody's attractive, but that you've had sexual thoughts about them when you've seen them. You know, you've lusted after them. Okay. Okay. What about, have you ever used God's name in vain?
In vain? God's name in vain just to make benefits or something?
You know, like a curse word or something like that. Instead of using a swear word, you may have used God's name.
No, not. I have never used that, I think.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. And again, I'm not judging you. This is just based